What's going on, everyone? What's going on?
Hello out there in the internet world.
Hello, and welcome to
Hello,
another
Internet.
episode of
Yeah,
Carbonate Bounty BS with me and the nerds. How's everyone doing today?
Good,
Great.
good, good.
feeling particularly nerdy.
For sure, and
Very
definitely,
emo.
yeah. What a way to start the week off, right? I mean, this kind of made my season. Really, it did. Finally, as me and DP talked about, we got what we wanted out of the trailer. It's finally delivered. It's taken 7 weeks, but hey, it's worth the wait to me. So before we even dive into today's episode, let's let DP let you guys know where to find us at.
Nerdcyclopedia.com, people, your favorite website. You get all your favorite social media platforms on there like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also TikTok. We're at Nerdcyclopedia, so make sure you are following us. If you are listening to us on podcasts, we're on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast, we are there. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Hit that subscribe button. Also hit that notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. If you're watching us on Facebook, thank you as well. Join our Carbonite Bounty BS or Star Wars group. You get all your favorite memes, all your favorite conversations as far as, this week's episode and every episode of anything Star Wars, movie, TV shows, anything, related to Star Wars. Leave us some feedback. Nurse at nerdcyclopedia.com. We love getting that feedback. And also make sure that you tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
Yeah,
All your friends
tell
to
everyone.
watch our channel.
Your friends.
Yeah, I mean,
Palpy.
yeah, and as we said, yeah, what a way to kind of to kick off this. We can call it a two-part ending, but man, what a way to kick off these last two episodes. I mean, I told you, Ken, about wearing the helmet today. I mean, I know how it ends, but I wanted to give you guys, I gave you guys a little, what was that, Monday, or was that Saturday? Sunday. Gave you guys a little teaser there, but yeah, interesting episode. We'll start with you this week, Ken. What were your thoughts?
So they're doing it. They're doing perfect job of actually saving the post trilogy because they're starting to tie in things to this, and it's making sense now. So I really loved Moff Gideon. Like, I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Man.
He's really channeling some Vader, like legit. So the opening scene with his, I forget what her name is, but I'm sure we're gonna hear more about her. But he's really doing a great job of channeling that sort of supreme leader type of character. Really dark. Definitely quoting our beloved Vader a lot. The scene, the council chamber. I mean, what a great! I mean, so many Easter eggs in there, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh man,
Hallion, Commander Hallion, Hux's dad. Come on, man, really? Let's just like stop, right? So, Grand Admiral Thrawn, the necromancer. I mean, there's so much that they're really throwing in there to really juice this up.
That actor
really,
playing Hux that's his brother that played him as the movie.
was it?
Donald
Okay.
Gleason's brother?
Yeah.
All right.
Gleason. Yeah.
Good call out. I thought that little storyline was great. This episode had everything. I mean, it had everything. And what I really liked, like after I watched it a couple times, I started to think, man, this is really the grassroots of Star Wars. This is the happy, sad ending. This is really where there's a lift in the middle, and you're thinking everything's going to be great, and they're getting the band back together, and these two tribes are going to like work together now. A little bit of conflict internally, but we're going to get through it. And then they just get slaughtered. I mean, at the end, it's really Empire Strikes Back to me, where they can't be beat. Now they have a Dark Trooper army with Beskar. Come on, man. I mean, that's
Crazy,
that's even beyond any imagination that I could come up with. My actually two favorite scenes of mine. Bo-Katan at the basically the council table with the two tribes on either side. the dinner was kind of like the red wedding type of thing. You thought something bad was going to happen, but there was a lot of great like reveals and like history. I learned a lot from this episode. Just being I'm a fan. I'm a super fan, but some of this outside of the canon storyline, I'm not familiar with. So this really helped me learn a lot. The only critique I'm going to have for this episode is these starships are coming in way too close to humans. I mean, why are you landing a Star Destroyer like 500 feet above a civilian, like a populated town? These people would be blown away by just the turbulence in the gravity. I mean, it just didn't make sense to me, right? Why are you going to do this? And I don't know. That's my only critique for the whole thing. Yeah, exactly. Physics and time do not exist here. We can have time. It's not even relative.
Just wait till we get to the world between worlds or whatever,
Yeah, you talk about time.
You're just going to be just.
His head will explode. Ken's head will explode.
It just doesn't matter. But great episode, and man, everyone's got to watch this again a couple times. There was even things with the I noticed inscriptions on the boxes. The Mythosaur logo was on all their crates, all their stuff, and there was real like Boba Fett almost like markings on some of the boxes, the green and like the maroon stripes that he had. So there was all kind of little neat things to see, but I dug it.
Yeah, we'll go to you, Hitch.
Man, I like this episode a lot too, and it's a really good episode of this story when it can take you to a lot of really emotional highs and emotional lows at the same time. And I think that this is a huge journey, and I think that Ken probably said it best when he said this is the Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, this is a pretty low point at the end here with Din being captured and Vizsla just dead. But what a badass death scene they gave him. I mean, that was awesome, but you knew what was going to happen because his voice actor isn't playing him physically, so he can't take off his helmet. So limited time offer on viability there.
They couldn't chop off his head and everything because
I really thought the Praetorian Guards were taking his head. I did.
I thought that what they did was still pretty graphic for Disney. I mean, they actually stabbed him like a bunch of times instead of.
They ran him through a couple times.
Yeah, they were through the chest, through the shoulder. Yeah, so. But
that was adequately badass. I feel like that, in one of those situations where it's like, that guy could have easily escaped. So he's choosing a badass death. But I think they really paid it off. I really liked how his particular 50 cal machine gun basically that he's wielding here played into the tactics a lot because it had enough power to punch through the armor. I thought that was really, really awesome. It made what he was doing make some sort of sense. I like the play with the Darksaber here. And look, my favorite stuff in this episode was for sure Grogu getting in this robot. Because number one, is this robot any better than the pod Grogu's floating around in safely? This robot seems a little bit more dangerous. But obviously the mechanism is adorable, and Grogu will probably get pretty good at being Krang.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, I was thinking of Krang the whole time.
Before we know it, Grogu's sitting on Bo-Katan's lap here, approaching Navarro. Very, very interesting, and very much a mommy daddy feeling as well. And man, that sinking reveal when they revealed that Moff Gideon has been on Mandalore was great. I love the way they slowly where they were chasing these troopers, where the hell are they coming from? And then it just started looking like that set.
It wasn't that like Vader just coming in, landing in the middle of everything. I mean,
But I think, unlike you guys, I think Gideon is pretending to be Vader. I feel like this is a Vader cosplay at what Steel City Con, where it's not quite right. It's not quite right, and you can tell it's homemade and it's really good, but it's not quite Darth Vader, and you're not really
as good a job as you or I would do.
I definitely believe that's true. I think he's doing a better job. He's better funded than either of us, Moff Gideon is. because he has all that stolen revenue from the people of the Empire.
Yeah.
So I would say he's probably got more resources than us. But maybe we should all do a project and make a Darth Vader costume just to see how crappy it would be. I believe mine would be very crappy, Ken. I will cede the floor to you on that sort of thing.
I have a start with the helmet, and I can get a black robe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're pretty quick, but
I'm gonna make mine out of just trash bags.
Yeah, trash bags.
That's all, just trash bags and like LED lights on the chest.
LED
it's gonna be super hot, by the way. So that's the stupidest possible thing I can do, but I'm gonna do it.
Use those contractor bags that are like 5 mil. Man, you'll be sweating like a pig.
Listen, I just want to be comfortable, so I need it to be loose. So garbage bags to me feel like they'll fit the bill on that. What a great episode. I really feel like this is one of the better ones of this series. And yeah, we said they had a lot of ground they had to cover in 2 episodes. And I feel like they really got all the way to, what are the stakes they need to resolve in the finale and what would success look like? Like, I understand what those things are. So I think good penultimate episode.
Right. What about you, DP?
Hey, I can't say enough about this episode. It started off, they had me at Thrawn. They had me 5 minutes in. You mentioned Thrawn and everything. And the thing is, Hitch is in each episode, he's had like, I think Heir to the Empire in the background and everything. Yeah. And he changed it. So I gotta read this book. I gotta read something about this guy and everything. He's such a crazy. It's such an interesting character from what we've seen in Rebels and everything. But the first 5 minutes with the whole cabal and everything, just showing that they're still trying to fight that good fight, for like the galaxy and everything. I mean, it was pitch perfect. It's kind of like a little disappointing to see Moff Gideon just, he's going to end up dying. Thrawn's going to kill this guy. That he's relegated, to be under Thrawn, at this point and everything. But I mean, you were saying in our off text messaging, or in our chat, Steel City, Giancarlo Esposito can play your villain and my villain in any show, any show. And he plays it in different types of. He's not playing the same, villain that he played in Breaking Bad, that he played in like other shows and everything. Mm-hmm. He's playing like a whole different. And this is a guy that was in Do the Right Thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm saying, this guy has like so much range, and he just comes with it each time he's on the screen. So I was happy to see him back. This episode covered like, a lot of ground, like Steel City said, a lot of action, a lot of building of world building, with both of our sects of Mandalorian and everything, getting them all together, having them understand what the mission is and getting them all to agree to go to Mandalorian stuff. I thought that was perfect. That's all I really want to see. The more Mandalorians that we have in episode, the better it is to me. I just love their whole look, their whole mantra, their whole vibe and everything. I'm Mandalorian out. So, this is the Mandalorian to me, the Mandalorians, if you want to call it. The Grogu thing, that was just straight up hilarious. I just howled at that, like you said, Steel City. Yes, no, yes, no.
Like a toddler, like a child would do.
Oh yeah. A child that understands, adult language stuff. So the way he communicated, that was just, it was pitch perfect. The way they just found a way for him to actually communicate without actually having to put a voice to the puppet, if you want to call it that. Put him in a thing and have him press yes. That's all you need him to do for at least for the next couple seasons. For me, let's just do it like that. Yes. No. It was an overall great episode. The special effects were great. It was very cinematic in its form. The whole reveal about Moff Gideon, like you said, having a whole lair and everything right under Mandalore. That was just like it brought back I can't think of what movie it's from, but all of a sudden, you have your heroes fighting one thing. All of a sudden, they're just finding this whole big old cave of different things that's, that they didn't expect to be there. We see the red troopers from the sequel trilogy and stuff. So that was very decent to see come back and see how it connects. Like Ken said, I'm loving everything that happened with this season. I was loving this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I second to what everybody else has said. I mean, realistically, for me, this kind of was that bridge, as we said, right, between the sequel trilogy and that you know ending scene of Return of the Jedi. So they're doing a great
Yeah.
job of putting everything together. Um, the Thrawn stuff was great to hear. I mean, they're foreshadowing him, so it makes you beg to differ. And we'll discuss this on today's episode as far as like our thoughts on the final finale. But I mean, like, I don't see, based on how it's setting up, Mandalorians defeating Praetorian guards. So will we get Ahsoka? I mean, I can't see Bo-Katan and Din Djarin and taking down three Praetorian guards. That just, to me, based on what we know about them, only Force users really can take them down because I'm pretty sure they're Force wielders themselves, from the novels. So that'll be interesting as far as the finale. But as we said, this episode, like, I mean, it was breathtaking. I mean, because I remember we discussed the trailer, right? And we saw the bombing and the Night of a Thousand Tears and the Purge of Mandalore, right? I mean, we saw that and we were like, man, like, we want more. This is what we want. And I mean, they've delivered it. Would I'd like to see it more? Yeah, but that 50 minutes felt like 15 hours. So, I mean, it was shocking because, like I said, as me being cheesy as I am, I flipped down on the remote to see the runtime. I saw 50 minutes. I was like, oh, I'm in for this, right? So, they did, and it's crazy. They have a way of paying this off. And we've discussed this a million times. I mean, I feel like we've been so spoiled with the content that they've given us that, like, if I really deep it, as harsh as I've been on this show, for this being 50 minutes, I'm guessing the finale to be probably 45 to 50. That's 100 and that's a movie runtime.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about
Yep.
it, right? So
Yep.
they're delivering a movie in 2 episodes to really round off a series because in most series, I mean, in my mind, I think of a 30-minute, 20, 25-minute episode. So what they've done with this and how they've kind of ramped up to these mega episodes, I think it's really made it like more even fruitful. And then, my final part is like, I know what you guys are saying about the rip-off Vader, but I'm sorry. I think Gideon's dude, the black Beskar is like sick. The painted Beskar, like the shiny metallic,
That,
and
that
his helmet has
100,
to be for sale. That helmet has to be
100%.
for sale.
So do you think Vader's helmet was Beskar?
No,
I mean, it deflected laser bolts. I mean, he was shot at a couple times, and it did.
I don't know, but I know his helmet is. I mean, for as little as we've seen it, like his helmet's sick. That has to be like the next like whatever Black Series helmet has to be Moff Gideon.
Literally.
I'm
and
not
I have
saying
it
the
on
look, by
pre-order.
the way. I'm not saying the look necessarily, but there's a presence that only
Right.
Darth Vader can convey, and I
It
feel like
even had that like breathing. I think when he like landed, it had like that like noise and like the roboticness of his knee joints. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
His presence and the way he delivered his line. I mean, this guy watched those movies. He studied Vader. He studied Revenge of the Sith. I mean, he was there. I mean, I as an actor, I think he did it, and he said, "This is how I want this character to be. This is what I want people to think I am. I'm the new. I want to channel this evil. I want to channel this power." I mean, that's what it seemed to me.
But think about this. This is why I want to think about that in the context of the conference room scene. This is a group of high-end Imperial Remnant officers who were probably all, to a person, completely freaking terrified of Darth Vader. I mean, probably if Darth Vader had showed up at any of their jobs, they'd be like prime death candidates. You know what I mean? As being the people in charge.
You're getting choked for sure.
Absolutely, and beyond, you're getting for a little bit of choke. Maybe this much. They've shown that he's pretty liberal. That wasn't a special occasion. He's pretty liberal with the choking now, which I like. But he was the coolest guy. I mean, he was the Empire's number 2 guy. So my thinking is that Darth Vader was a style leader for these people, and not so much Giancarlo Esposito or his performances like attempting to be like Vader, but this guy wants to be Darth Vader because Darth Vader was the coolest dude on earth, and he's only been dead for like 6 years. That's not that long ago for these like 60-year-old people. That's not you know, like 2000, what is that, 2017? That doesn't feel like a long time ago when you really think about it. So, you know, if I mean, Robin Williams probably died around then, right? So that would be pretty. Everyone still knows who Robin Williams is, I guess. So you know that's
you don't forget Darth Vader. You don't forget that guy. I mean, he's burned into your memory. And yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. And so what would put it over the top if Moff Gideon has force powers? Like, could he force choke one of these jerks from afar? Could Vader do that? I mean, he does on a planet. He force choked Admiral Ozzel, but they were in the same atmosphere. But could he force choke somebody across the
galaxy?
Well, as we learn from the mysterious powers of Uncle Palps, he can control somebody's mind from the unknown regions. So
Uncle Palps
cannot be. You just can't keep him down.
He can.
He's a grandfather, apparently. Grandfather.
Yeah, grandfather.
Grandpa Palps.
With Project Necromancer, that was really cool how they introduced the revival of him. Yeah, that was like a tie-in as well.
Yep.
What about okay, so why would Thrawn be a secret? Like, you know, it's a secret for him to come back. I wasn't really clear on that.
Because of the Ezra Bridger thing, they know what happened. Rebels is tied into the canon, so they know that he's disappeared, and him and Ezra are a mystery. They remember the whales took him into, we don't know. We were guessing the unknown regions, but
why? I know that, but why would the Cabal or whatever portray it as like a secret? Like, you know, when he comes back or whatever, you know.
So think about it like this.
Him back.
So think about it like this. All right, would the United States of America in 1946 have gone into Germany and done something about it if it turned out that magically Adolf Hitler was still alive? Yes. Yes, 100%. They were still there. They would have hunted Hitler down immediately, right? So it's like just catching this attention. And if Thrawn shows up, Thrawn's going to be able to command all these disparate, disconnected elements of the Imperial remnant. And if that happens, that becomes a much bigger threat. It's almost analogous to how Genghis Khan was able to unite the Mongol horde, which was a whole bunch of different tribes on the steppe, right? Mm-hmm. And when he was able to do that, he created essentially a military power that was so big that it rivaled, you know, Imperial China.
And because nobody noticed them, because they were all sort of looked at as like Palion said, they were just trash. They were just these disenfranchised Ronin that were, hey, don't look at us. We're just doing our own thing, being bad and nasty over here. We're not trying to connect. So Thrawn's going to bring that back. So that's why the secret.
It's one thing. It's one thing if, you know, there's a whole bunch of people running drugs. It's another thing if all those people are in a conspiracy to overthrow the government. You know what I mean? Like that's just like a totally different, just changes things completely around. So
are they waiting? So they know where Thrawn is, and they're basically just waiting to roll out the red carpet for him.
Well, I think Pelion has been like playing these guys for however long it's been, saying that Thrawn's contacted me, so I'm gonna get him. But I think for Thrawn, you know, their plan is when Thrawn does return, because I guess they're assuming he is going to, that's when they will unite, and they're already ready because the Council of Villainous Intent has been meeting and keeping their minutes.
Is that what they're calling themselves?
Yes, the Council of Villainous Intent.
The Legion of Doom.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense as what he says. You know, they're kind of like building it up, and obviously they don't view Gideon as that glue.
No, not at all, and he's not happy about that. I mean, especially with the words that he was saying. I'm like, okay, Gideon, shut your mouth. When Thrawn comes back, you're done.
But keep in mind, though,
Unless
they're saying when he comes back, so they're already aware of his abilities. I mean,
that's
and
true.
with his battle meditation, or the ability what is it,
The
chi,
force,
what is
the
it, race, the
creatures
chis,
that he
right?
has.
his people.
Yeah, yeah. So they have the ability to not only they are resistant to force abilities, but they have the ability to have like this like kind of uncanny like battle meditation that they can kind of like see things play out on the battlefield beforehand. So it's kind of like he's like a step ahead. So it's like having the force without having the force, kind of. So he has this
Best
kind
of
of
both
uncanny
worlds.
military, yeah, right. This uncanny military ability that
fun
But they
fact about
kept
the Chiss.
mentioning, he kept mentioning that Thrawn was going to lead the military of the Empire, not necessarily the Empire, but the military. Now,
which becomes the First Order.
right. So they are hand in hand, but there was more to the Empire. I mean, there was the ISB, there were financial groups that were in, being managed. It wasn't just a whole bunch of stormtroopers and TIE fighter pilots. There was more to it than that. It was a I mean, it was a structured government of some sort, right? So Thrawn's going to lead the military. So who's going to lead the Empire? Because the Empire is more than just military, isn't it? I mean,
But keep in mind, Ken, this in this whole story they've tied it together. Palpatine's not dead. He's in like a bacta tank right now, like severely injured. That's what we're led to believe now.
Yeah,
So
he's like Voldemort before Harry Potter 4.
yeah, so I mean he's not. So that's really what I guess the setup, the play is. Which I mean it ties in perfectly. So it makes in the sequel trilogy have the payoff, right? When we see him,
and,
at the end.
and that's why I like this episode too, because they're tying into that trilogy.
Right.
They're making me a believer again.
So are you saying, T Miss, that they're not going to rewrite the trilogy?
They're not. No, because they're finishing it off with Ray. They kept it's done. What's done is done. They
Yeah.
may
I
change.
could have sworn like a few episodes you were saying they're done with the trilogy. They're going to rewrite the whole thing. It's
They
just
were
going to
gonna.
be
They
just
want to do
wiped out.
retcon it. They want to
So are
retcon
you
it. Yes.
backtracking? Are you
I
like,
am.
doing like a Deion Sanders? Are you now saying that the trilogy is canon?
Well, I mean, it is canon, unfortunately, but the only hope we have of any kind of course correction, and I've always said it, it would be Ahsoka, right? The world between
So,
worlds. She would
or
have
the
to,
flashy
and
thing from Men in Black, right?
right, neuralizer, the neuralizer. Yeah,
Yeah, the
you can either
neuralizer,
neuralizer the whole 3 episodes, but I
everything. We'll
think
just forget.
I think Ahsoka is going to do some event changing that may not. I mean, it would be a rewrite, right? If you change any event, it's a rewrite. So I think there's going to be something that happens that may change the course of some things. It's not going to alter Ray, I don't think, or what happened, but it's going to change the way we view certain things because they're aware. I mean, if we see what they've done with this season and some of the things they've done to correct certain characters and whatnot, I think they're aware of the things they need to fix, and we'll see that in Ahsoka. I think you're going to see a lot. I mean, that's Filoni's baby, right? We talked about Rebels and the animated stuff. That's really Filoni's project is going to be the
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka series. So
And
I
I
think
think
all the answers are going to
he co-wrote this episode with
right.
Favreau and everything
And
too. So
and look how good it was, right? We see the
yeah,
tie-ins to the sequel trilogy. So I mean,
Even when it's bad, it's still good. Like e-
uh,
even when anything that we've talked about is like what we're talking about is bad, it's still better than a lot. I mean,
yeah, it's good. I mean,
yeah,
I get what
I
you're
get you. Yeah,
saying. Yeah. I have no complaints on any episode this season,
no,
like I said in the messages and everything.
yeah.
So,
I know
um,
you. Yeah. I know you guys talked about this, but I wanted to bring the whole Grogu piece in. I think it's cool. I guess it's comic humor as far as the IG-12 suit now, so kind of like I don't know the Turtles Easter egg. But I mean, with the time jump from him training to Luke to now, I just felt like I get it, right? You got to have some payoff for the children. I just expected, especially now that I know that Grogu's competent, he understands language, he understands what's right and wrong. As it with his training, I just figured he'd be more competent fighter. I mean, the suit thing, like he wants to be a Mandalorian, you want to be a Jedi. Like I would love, and I know we're not going to get it, but for him to pull his saber out in the last episode and like take on a guard, like he's almost too passive for me. Like I get it off the bat, but I just feel like he's trained with Luke, so like the baby stuff, like he's just too passive of a character to me now, from where he is to where we are, to for him just to kind of do the IG thing and end up shooting blasters out of it. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm reaching, but
from the way that I mean, they
just
seeded those things in the
yeah,
boat and
I
everything,
just
so they
feel
got to
that
have it pay off a bit, you know.
he's
And
I'm not asking for him to like.
He's
I'm
like 3 years old.
no, he's beyond.
He's
Like
a
I said,
Oh,
he's.
again, it's time.
But you said
It's
age is
not the
relative.
same.
You wouldn't
Remember?
give a 3-year-old a gun?
I wouldn't give him a lightsaber either. He has a long way to go. He has only begun to scrape the surface of what he would become.
I could agree with Ken, because I don't think it's time for Grogu to, do what Yoda did in episode 3.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's going to take down like the Emperor, but I just feel like you don't. So I'm gonna ask you this: you don't think he's old enough to be proficient with a weapon, based
No,
on everything he's done with his motor skills?
Not with
I
a
think-
lightsaber, not as a
no.
gift.
I
He
think
can
his
barely
abilities-
eat M&Ms. They're like dropping out of his. He can't even eat.
No, I think that's
Remember
belief.
remember, a Jedi can just learn how to do crap intuitively, because that's one of the things the Force teaches you how to do. So it's very, very possible that he could get very good at maneuvering this robot very quickly,
Very
and that this
quickly.
robot sure could wield the dark saber.
Sure, he'd have to.
Okay, hey, that's the reason why he's in IG-12 now.
Mhm.
To do things that he can't normally do with his, small hands or whatever. So, I mean, I guess that bridges the gap of what you were saying, T. Mitch. We might see IG-11, IG-12 welding a lightsaber.
Maybe
That would be
I mean,
rad, and it would really make the Mandalorians
yes.
Grogu.
No.
right?
No.
Now, while
Yes,
we're talking about that, it's funny. Every time Grogu does something that's like inspired, like man, Ben's like, nope, he didn't learn that from me. I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah,
He's
I mean,
not-
he broke up the fight and everything. That was very good character
That's what I'm
development.
saying. So that's showing he's not a child, though. That's why I'm saying like they keep kind of doing certain things. Like,
I mean,
that's
that's
what
like
my
a kid can
10-year-old
be
would do.
intuitive, and the parent isn't really taking credit for it either.
because he's not
So-
taking credit of it, so that means he understands. And keep in mind, I know what you're saying about his age, but it's proven through the logs he's trained in the Jedi Academy. It'd be different if he was like an infant, right?
If he's 50 and that
We
equates
know
to
that-
3, then 25 years ago he was like 2, right?
That's what I'm saying. There has to be some. He just has to be a little more competent based on what we know of him.
So you
I
want
mean,
him to branch out a little bit. You want to see
A
more.
little bit, because he's a big character of the show. I mean, I'm not
Mhm.
asking him to like flip in the air and do all the Yoda maneuvers, but like attempt to like, just something himself. I would just expect a little more.
I
A
would
little
like to
more.
see Grogu lose his mind and go on a robot rampage.
I'm
would
sure,
like
I'm
to
sure
see
we'll
that.
see that in the next episode.
Yeah,
I
we'll
think
see. We'll see that.
IG-12 is gonna
We
go
will
pretty crazy.
definitely see that happen.
He got a toy now, so
Yeah, we already like robots that like
Right.
take on the humans. We already saw that two episodes ago, right? So this will definitely happen.
Well, I mean, they've input him with buttons as well. I mean, we haven't even seen the weaponry on this thing, right? Gave him speech, but I'm sure there's buttons in there for rockets, lasers. I'm sure
yeah.
we'll get that next episode, so that'll be pretty cool.
He's going to work that. So they gave Grogu some autonomy in a
Right.
way. Everything.
Yeah.
He now
is
has
nice.
control, way more control, and realizes that he has way more control now that he's in control of something. With IG-12 and everything. So
Right.
with him, grabbing stuff to eat and everything, trying to test it out, and Jordan is like, I'm not liking this.
This isn't for me. Like, this is not the way.
This is not the way. This is not the way.
So, hey, T. Mitch, we're gonna see that next time we go to Galaxy's Edge, right? We're gonna see this happen at like right outside the
Could you imagine that? Ronto Roasters, yeah.
Toronto Roasters. He's gonna be like squeezing like fruits and stuff.
Right.
And,
Oh man, yeah.
and I would be right there doing a selfie, like.
Yeah. I like the we see other Mandalorians in that big pirate looking ship thing. That was pretty decent. and then we see like the monster and stuff, you know. I was just admiring like all even if it was done on the engine, you know, the volume engine or whatever. I think they're doing a great job with the whole visual effects and stuff, and still making it feel real cinematic, like as if they're outside and, you know, doing what they're doing. Grief is always great to see anytime he comes in, you know.
Yes.
It was a grievous thing, and I'm like, go ahead.
Having him be like, "Oh, I got a surprise for you," like having a big Carl Weathers say, "Well, just put him on up in there."
Yeah.
Let's see if it's this is so great. I was just so happy that it was Carl Weathers.
The way he kind of picked him up, it was just like, it was cool and cringe. It was cool and cringe at the same time, like. You know,
T. Mitch, I know
like your grandpa. It was like your grandpa getting you some really awesome toy.
Yeah. You're like, okay, man, it's another baby moment or whatever, you know, cutesy moment and stuff. But I mean, it worked. It
was cool. I liked it.
It worked. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I didn't want to spoil it. In my teaser, I gave you guys a preview. I don't want to spoil any of it for you guys. I thought about talking about it Monday or Sunday.
Yeah, you thought about it many times, you know. As many times you wanted to press that send button, you know, and just spoil everything, you know.
No, I just gave you the teaser. I gave you guys a Vizsla teaser that I knew of, and that was
sad. Vizsla, my goodness.
Is he necessarily dead?
Yeah, he's gone.
Nobody's ever necessarily dead.
No one's necessarily dead.
Well, you didn't see a head or body there, Ken, you know, so.
Well,
I mean, bro, he went through his heart.
Down,
all the caption said was exhales. That's all it said.
Well, usually that's how it ends, right? Usually that's the last
not like
one.
Powering down. It's not the same as powering down. It just said exhales, and he fell over. That's it.
I mean, if you can survive the Praetorian Guard vibroblade going completely through your heart, your shoulder, and the back of his neck.
Mandalorian, he was like, he's a badass.
This is a series where you can just go, somehow he came back, and it's fine. So I feel like
cool with that.
Yeah, we're just gonna move on.
We'll see Pershing here, right? We're gonna see Dr. Pershing, and he's gonna be what? A tomato? Or what?
They kind of laid him out that they kind of fried his brain. I mean, I think that was a tie-in that he's just kind of kaput.
He's gonna get on death sticks.
Yeah, he might be alive, but basically the way they laid it out is, his mind's gone. They fried him.
Kaput.
Yeah.
Kaput. That's a nice.
I feel so bad for the Dr. Mengele of the Empire.
Right.
Do not feel bad for him. Zero sympathy. I
mean, because this is the same time frame of the as the Bad Batch, right?
No. Bad Batch is after Order 66. It's like what 1 or 2
Oh,
years
that's right. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you're right. Because I was thinking, I know he headed to it's not the end of the cloning program. So my next question would be like, who is the next big bad scientist, right? Because and it was cool how he tied it together. He talked about the Caminos, right? He talked about Jedi. He talked about the Mandalorians, about cloning.
You might be right, because what was that doctor that we saw in the last 2 episodes of Bad Batch?
Yeah, I was thinking him. They might try to bring him in, but he'd probably be like 80 at this point, maybe. You go Order 66 to now.
Yeah, he would clone himself. Who knows how old he is?
I mean, it's 26 years. You know, I mean, it's not like that's a billion years, and it's Star Wars, so you can always
are not years. Years are like minutes.
All time is relative in the Star Wars universe, which we know.
What was that? I forget that. Whatever. What was the doctor's name?
What was his name? Doc.
It shows how much we like Bad Batch, right?
It was something like.
Oh man, I know it's Jimmy Simpson that plays him.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name. Ugh. They lost. Bad Batch lost me this year.
Yeah, right. Such a great show, and great news, guys. We have a season 3. Yeah, we have another season coming.
So hopefully they bring it home and everything after a bum season.
One thing you mentioned something, T. Mitch, that I wanted to talk about, and it's the volume of Star Wars that we're getting, and how much that is. And I was thinking about if you took, all the episodes of Bad Batch, it would be like 8 episodes of Mandalorian almost. So we've had like 16 episodes. What's that? Hemlock. Yes, Jimmy Simpson from Sunny, the McPoyle. that McBoy. Or the Man in Black from Westworld. We did watch
Yeah.
Westworld.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's who
Okay.
plays that guy.
Huh.
Where was I? Oh yeah. So yeah, it could easily be that guy. I think 26 years later.
Maybe.
Could be.
Sure.
It could be.
Yeah. But you were talking about the volume.
Oh yeah, so we've gotten thanks, man. So we've gotten so much Star Wars this year. We've got like episodes. If there was a Star Wars TV series that was an anthology series like 25 years ago, we'd be on episode 16 or like 22 or 23 now. And we are in no way, shape, or form anywhere near 2/3 of the 2023 releases right now. I mean, not even any, like, no. There's way more stuff that's going to come out. And I think that volume itself lends us to having episodes where we take an aside and establish Coruscant as a character, which I really appreciated here because we knew we were in like the Tokyo district of Coruscant, which is different from other parts. And now that that's distinct, and there's really only a couple planets where that's the case, like Tatooine for one has a couple different settlements that we know of.
I think we saw that on the sequel trilogy, where what's that? Poe and then met the what was that planet? The casino planet.
Oh yeah.
It was like the Las Vegas or whatever. Yeah, that was like
Space
the
Monte Carlo.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so we met that. So yeah, I see what you're saying as far as being able to establish these planets.
But Coruscant having like things about it that change over time is like I've said it before, going to anchor all of these different series that are going to take place 100 years before, 250 years before. You know, it's just like if you say, okay, this character is in New York City and it was like, you know, horses and buggies and, you know, it was colonial architecture and there were farms everywhere. You'd be like, oh, it's not 1967. Like, you know exactly what's going on by that shorthand because we have a lot of context about our society. And anything that deepens that is going to make it so that we'll be able to have that visual shorthand about Coruscant, which is going to be I would imagine, a big setting for all of the stuff that was announced at Celebration. So it would be cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they can go a couple different ways now. I mean, they can continue. The storyline they have now is pretty much spot on, perfect. I wouldn't mind if they brought in some. So I'd like to see the droids. Personally, I'm always looking for our favorite protocol droid. And because there are two characters that have never been offed. They've never been killed. They're always there. They're always in the mix somewhere, but we have not seen them in any of these tangent storylines, these new storylines. They're not there. So bring them in because that's really the anchor. That's the only thing that's really always there from the beginning.
Are you talking about R2?
Yeah.
R2's is he with Luke?
Yeah, but bring him back. Bring him in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's not here.
I'd be pretty cool if Luke shows up to this situation.
That's what I'm saying.
These guys are in. That would be pretty great.
Think about it though. There's Praetorian guards. Could you imagine Luke Skywalker versus?
I
just think that you have to. I mean, I don't know. I think you have to have a Jedi. I don't think Mandalorians can kill Praetorian guards.
I think Bo could. I think Kryze could take one of them down.
What about the other two?
Din. You've got many other great fighters still in that.
These are Praetorian guards that are force sensitive. I don't think so.
So the answer is Grogu.
Grogu is going to come
amongst the people that are there.
Give him a reason to be there. So I mean, I would take that. I mean, Grogu's actually done some stuff like in previous seasons that will make you think, okay, if you meet him at that point in time. I mean, he can, we haven't really seen him do anything yet this season as big as he has like those first two seasons. And or am I thinking about that in the Mandalorian and everything? And
Boba.
I think
Boba Fett.
Yeah, Book of Boba Fett. Yeah.
And what's happened?
What was Mandalorian 2.5?
What happened? They have Din.
Yeah.
In the debriefing room.
Yeah.
Grogu is going to go ape shit.
And that's going to get attention from.
Yes.
If we play Chekhov's like who could resolve the situation.
They can see Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Sure.
could bring a bunch of crazy Tatooine Power Rangers with him and fix this situation. You
Anything.
figure
Maybe a bunch of Ugnaughts.
they can fix anything.
They can fix
From what I
any
heard.
situation. But Grogu now has a mission now because he's got to get his dad back.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason that I don't know how or we would get maybe Boba Fett is because there's no way to get a message from the ground up, right? Because the Forger's there and there's that storm level, that magnetic field. So think about this: the space battle's about to happen. We don't know. We're hoping. I mean, I imagine the Forger and everybody. I mean, they have light cruisers, right? So they should be able to take a couple bombers and whatever they have. But we have the space battle that's about to happen. We have this battle on the ground that nobody knows. In my mind, if there's force sensitives such as Praetorian guards, the only other people that can really sense force sensitives are force sensitives. So it opens it up to maybe get another Luke, to maybe get Ahsoka because she's chasing Thrawn. I'm sure she knows about Gideon. So is this the big tie-in? Because keep in mind, we're probably not going to see
What a great way to do that.
We're not going to see the Mandalorian till 2025 at the earliest. So it's a good way to pay off into her series, to pay off into the Heir to the Empire movie, which maybe that may be the name, who knows? But maybe that this is that big fabric weaver. I don't know. I would love to see another type of maybe a rogue Jedi or something or Ahsoka. I mean, if they gave Luke again,
I don't know about Luke. I was thinking more along the lines of Ahsoka, and the only type of message they could get out would have been the Force message that Grogu could send when he's all sad, when he loses his shit. You'd imagine that's going to.
That would be Luke, right? Because think about Luke, how he sensed him on the planet, right? That's why it makes all the It shouldn't be, and they don't have to be like you're saying, but it all points to Luke being a person to be able to get the message, like something's wrong and there's a disturbance.
Just imagine your Moff Gideon, and every single time you try to hatch an evil plan, Luke Skywalker just shows up. Like, oh, come on!
It's
like
kind
the
of
one
like Goku,
guy,
right? Every time Frieza tries to do something,
the one guy that could stop you comes every single freaking time. Like that's gotta be terrible.
That's got to be a tempting story decision, though. You want to bring Luke back because he's just such a cool character, but at the same time, you're trying to get away from like the Skywalkers. Anything that has to do with them.
I get it, but I think we can all say this wholeheartedly. I think we need that though, because the way they paid him off was so sad. Like, I feel like I can see him now and be okay with him coming into the storyline because the stories are showing us, like, think about that hallway scene, similar to the Vader scene. That's all I ever wanted to see with Luke, is like a full powered Luke. So they're able to give us his story now. We're able to see this. I mean, the last time we saw Luke, bro, he's on a rock, meditating himself to death. Like, that's the last time we saw Luke.
That's not the last time we're going to see him. I mean, I don't think we're going to see him.
That's what we're going to see him in. Well, that's what we're going to see him.
Dude, what? No.
So
if they bring him back, it's going to be at least like Ahsoka,
You think?
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense and be really cool. But Luke becomes this non-interventionist eventually. So all of these mistakes that he makes are going to be mistakes that he makes because he gets too intervention-y, which is why he reacts the way he does when Palpatine somehow returns and fools him into almost murdering his nephew that one time.
And he uses that as an excuse to not intervene, because every time he does, something bad happens.
Right.
He loses his sister. I mean, that's been probably the biggest loss of his entire life. But we see that later, but it has to be a trend in his life. Every time he sees a situation where he thinks he needs to go metal, it goes south for him.
Yeah. Hitch, I got a point for you, and I know this is something that Canon would kind of DP put this into my mind. It had me thinking. Filoni's a genius, right? But I know he's probably already written it already. But do you really think he would have the guts in the World of Worlds to change that interaction between Luke and Ben? Because think about it, they don't have to rewrite the movies and retcon them, but all she has to do, like we saw in Rebels, is go in and change one outcome. Do you think he would have the muster? Because we know the Rey series is coming, and there's going to be different events there. I just don't, because Adam Driver has already said he wants to come back. there's going to be an event that keeps Kylo Ren or whatever
mean,
Ben Solo. I think he survives somehow
it's
because
like
he wants to come back.
it's almost like the Legend of Zelda. Like, you know, there's you can tell which one it is because of how it looks. Like, you know what I mean? If you want to do a world between worlds where Luke doesn't do that stuff, and I mean, Tales of the Jedi, Visions, there's spaces to do that. Right. So I feel like we can see it, and maybe it's just all animated as just in this other universe where, you know, Luke doesn't do that. But
I think, yeah, I was expecting to see the Star Wars What If. I know that's what you're getting to. That would have been like they did with the Marvel.
Well, I think that there's space for that. Almost Tales of the Jedi is space for that because that could be all stuff that Ahsoka's doing or whatever's happening in the world between worlds. But like to completely wipe away the entirety of that trilogy, right? I don't know that they would have the, you know, the wherewithal to do that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think.
But you could keep some of it and say, like, ultimately, rather than Palpatine's plan working to the point where he had the ability to have the entire planet of Exegol enslaved and shoved in Star Destroyers, right? That's pretty successful. Maybe it doesn't get to that point, and, you know, maybe he just has the one shot with Snoke, and so it doesn't quite go like that in the throne room. Maybe that's how that goes, and there's little differences into how Rey ends up being like the master of the Jedi. I could see all that, but I don't know
Prime
about
Jedi, yeah.
But erasing the whole thing and what you're talking about,
I'm not talking about erasing it. I'm just talking about changing.
Well, without Ben Solo leaving, without Ben Solo turning to the dark side, what is there in the sequel trilogy at all?
Yeah. Unless there would be another evil, I don't know. But I just think that, or maybe at the end when he dies, I think that something's going to happen that Ben's alive again.
I feel like a lot of stuff that happened in Episode 9 was pretty lame. So if you said, "Hey, this isn't what really happened," I'd be cool with it. But
bro, I was a big Adam Driver, Ben Solo, Kylo Ren fan. I didn't want to see him die. I did not.
The character is great. The character is great. It's he's evil. He's maniacal, but he's not quite there yet. He's still a student.
Yeah. He's still very erratic in his behavior and everything. I think where they
no control.
I think where they and I really didn't like it in Force Awakens where they try to connect him and Rey, as much as they try to, just put them together, especially like a romantic angle and stuff. That's why when it ended up happening in the Rise of Skywalker, it just sort of lost me and stuff because you had such a great character in both of the characters. Really, did you really have to have them in a romantic, entanglement and stuff? Mm-hmm. I don't think you really needed that. Keep Kylo Ren off somewhere alive because I think we do deserve him back as like a force, him as a grown up. If we're going to have Rey 15 years later or whatever, let's have Kylo Ren at a more mature status and him not be as erratic as he was, like in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, because The Force Awakens was not a bad film. It didn't kill. It didn't kill the trilogy. It didn't kill the radio star. Like, it solved. It gave us what we wanted. We haven't seen new Star Wars in a long time.
Yeah. We wanted it.
Yeah, we wanted it.
I'll give you 2 billion reasons that we wanted it.
Right.
They teased Knights of Ren and they didn't give us anything about that. So
well, listen, there's execution stuff for sure, right?
The second one was,
that was Chekhov's Knights of Ren.
Whoa! What are you saying, Ken? The second one? Whoa! This isn't you. Is this?
Yeah, the second one was just a little.
And are you doing like Deion Sanders? Oh man!
I like Deion Sanders.
Ken's out here.
I just felt that the second film was a little bit. It didn't do what I wanted a second film in a Star Wars trilogy to do. So, Empire Strikes Back is supposed to be the big one. That's the second film is supposed to be the one that leaves you hanging, wanting more. And that it just did.
Wars.
It just Clone Wars wasn't. I like Clone Wars. That was a great film. Yeah. They're all great except for that. I don't even know what it's called. The Last Jedi? What a piece of crap.
Whoa, you're dropping your rating from a count.
Wow.
No, this is breaking news, guys.
Stand up.
This is breaking news, guys.
I want to stand up for episode 8.
There we go. That's what I wanted. That's what I was looking for. Where's those drops? Come on, man.
Yeah, you are
some exclamation points over my mouth, too. Can you do that?
So
No.
on record, you're really saying that, Ken? Me
Yeah.
and DP, we've heard it
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I'm saying it was rough.
Ken does not like The Last Jedi. Woo.
It was
Wow.
rough.
Woo.
Because think
You
about
like
it.
it? Wait.
They-
You like
they did
episode
their
8
best.
better than The Last Jedi? That's what you're saying?
What is?
Episode 8 is better than Last Jedi. You're telling me? Come
Yeah.
on now. Oh wow, that's a hot take. I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
can't do
because
that.
Rise of Skywalker,
Bro
I
drank
think
titty milk in the
to
movie.
they tried to
No.
really bring everything back. They did their
No.
best.
Dude drank titty milk in 8. I'm done. I'm cool. Drop me out. I'm not.
We were drinking that milk since A New Hope.
Oh yeah, we were drinking that at when it was Galaxy Batu, right, Ken?
Yeah, that
And
I had a big
it's
glass of it
nasty.
with rum.
I had the red. I know I had the green and the blue, and they're both nasty.
Well,
Titty
the
milk.
first one was. The second one was pretty good.
Oh boy.
Technically, all milk is anyway.
Right. Anyways, I digress. But yeah, you know, it's getting late, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting late.
Sometimes
Late
the
on-
late
late-
show gets a little blue.
Late on the East Coast. Late on the East Coast.
Literally.
But yeah, rounding off this week. I mean, I can say this is probably one of the best. It's my favorite Mandalorian episode so far out of the 3 seasons we've had. Leaving us up for, dramatic, and I feel like we say this like every season, but a dramatic finale, right? I mean, we've had our like Batman kind of our Adam West Batman moment with Bo-Katan and Din, Din getting wrapped up, like, oh my God, somebody help me, and then they come kicking in the door, So we've had our like our right, we've had our moment there that Din has been captured. I mean, it's setting up for
And that's
an explosive 50 minutes.
that you're going to see Grogu do what you want him to do, Team Edge.
I
Yeah.
think we will, and I
Yeah.
think we will. I think we'll see him be a little more capable.
Yes.
Yes. Kill.
I mean- Right? Will we see Chekhov's mythosaur? I mean, we have an episode left. We have a lot.
Oh,
A lot.
yeah.
I thought that beast was coming up was going to be the mythosaur. I'm like,
I
oh my
thought it
God.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Well, think about what that said. That's just some random thing that they would hunt.
Dinosaur,
That's not
yeah.
the mythosaur. It's much bigger and scarier than that, and we know it's there, and we know that a certain tiny frog-like creature has a propensity for controlling other animals.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens next.
Right.
The finale's
Yeah,
going to be like over an hour, right? Hour 10.
I don't know the runtime. I hope so.
One can only hope they get Game of Thrones-ish with this. Extend the episode time. Do us all a favor, Disney.
Hour and a half.
But unlike Game of
Flip them
Thrones, use
all.
lights. Don't just film a whole episode and have it just be dark,
Yeah, right.
black
right.
screen. Like we would like some lights and be able to see things that are happening. So you
Totally.
don't skimp on the HBO skimped on lights that season. They should not have
That
done
would be busted, man. Totally.
Right. But yeah, guys, I appreciate everybody again, and we have one more go, so to speak, right? One more week for this. So, until next week, guys, this is the way.
This is the way.
That's the way.